On 6th of September 1657, in Delhi, Shah Jahan fell ill. There was no improvement in his health, even after the doctors gave him the best possible treatment. Shah Jahan thought his end has come. He asked his elder son and heir apparent, Dara Shikoh, to shift him to Agra. So, he can spend his remaining days by looking at the Taj Mahal, which he built for his beloved wife, Mumtaz Mahal. Shah Jahan told his confidant to treat Dara as king and follow his orders. He stopped attending daily court, stopped making a public appearance. People started to get uneasy, and then the rumors spread like wildfire. Dara cut all the communication from Agra to other parts of India. And this turned out to be his biggest mistake. Due to this sudden break in communication, his other sons, Aurangzeb, who was in Deccan, Murad, who was in Gujarat, and Shuja, who was in Bengal, thought their father is dead. As a result of this, Shuja declared himself as an emperor. And so did Murad. Aurangzeb was too cunning to make any such move so early. However, in Agra, Shah Jahan started to recover from his illness. When he heard the news of these rebellions by his sons, he dispatched a royal army of 22,000 against Shuja. Aurangzeb and Murad teamed up against Dara. Dara dispatches a vast army under Raja Jaswant Singh to stop them from entering Agra. On 5th of February 1658, Aurangzeb marched towards Delhi from Aurangabad. On 13th April, when Aurangzeb was in Dipalpur near Ujjain, he got the news that Murad is few miles away. And, the brothers met the next day. Jaswant Singh, with a royal army, was just one day away from the combined army of these two princes. But, he had no clue that Aurangzeb has already reached there with his army. Jaswant Singh was utterly bewildered when he got the news that Aurangzeb is marching toward Ujjain with his vast army. He moved his army southwest of Ujjain, to a place called Dharmat. On 15th April, both the armies, each of them more than 35,000, were in front of each other. Jaswant Singh's military launched a very aggressive attack on Aurangzeb's army. Initially, it appeared that Aurangzeb's army has no chance against Jaswant's onslaught. But, soon after some time, Aurangzeb sent the portion of the strong military who was protecting him to the rescue. Also, Murad launched a fierce attack on Jaswant Singh's army. Most of Jaswant Singh's commanders started to flee the battleground. The loyal commanders were either killed or severely wounded. Now, Jaswant Singh was all alone in the battlefield of Dharmat. Aurangzeb and Murad surrounded him. He was personally injured. Jaswant Singh fled towards Jodhpur. Aurangzeb emerged victorious with the massive treasury in front of him to claim. But more importantly, he emerged as a more substantial power than Dara and his royal army. People were already inclined to believe that Aurangzeb would be their new king. The very next day, Aurangzeb reached Gwalior and crossed the river Chambal. Dara was not expecting that Aurangzeb would cross the river so early. Now Aurangzeb could reach Agra in no time. However, during their march towards Agra, they saw a massive army of Dara Shikoh at a place called Samugad. Dara Shikoh had an army of more than 50,000, including cavalry, infantry, the regiment of elephants and heavy artillery. But the formation of his army was flawed. His first line of defense was the heavy artillery, which was challenging to move. Behind that, there was an infantry, including archers. Behind them were elephants, and the last one was cavalry. When Dara saw the approaching army of Aurangzeb, he just waited to see the first move of his enemy. And this was the mistake he could not afford. Aurangzeb's army was tired and less in numbers. Had Dara attacked Aurangzeb's army, rather than waiting, he would have emerged victorious on that day itself. Aurangzeb let his army rest that day. On the next day, Dara opened heavy artillery firing on the enemy's army. Still, it did not do damage to the enemy. Aurangzeb did not waste his artillery resources and saved it for later. This artillery shelling continued for 1 hour, and then his artillery made way for the cavalry and infantry. It was a fierce, pitched battle. Dara did some early damage to Aurangzeb's army, and his Rajput regiment cornered Murad. Murad's face got severely injured. Similarly, the Rajput regiment attacked Aurangzeb's army, but his bodyguards launched the fierce counterattack and saved their master. Dara Shikoh, who was at the center of the military formation, left his position to rescue his fellow commander Rustam Khan. And this turned out to be the disastrous move. Because now, he could not see what is happening on the other side of the battlefield and hence, lost control over them. At the same time, his army got in the way of his artillery, which mellowed down the intensity of the attack. Aurangzeb was no novice to miss out on such a golden opportunity. He launched a fierce artillery shelling on Dara. Dara changed the direction of his army and moved to take shelter. But, this futile movement by his army only left themselves parched. Many of his soldiers died because of sunstroke and thirst. By this time, many noted leaders of Dara Shikoh were already killed. The defeat of Dara was imminent. Many of his army started to flee the battlefield. Dara himself fled to Agra. No one was chased, except for Dara. Dara Shikoh reached Agra. He was utterly devastated by the loss. Shah Jahan sent a message to him for the audience. But Dara refused. He said, "I cannot show my face to the king after the loss which I suffered. You bestow me with your blessing and leave me on my fate for the further journey." Dara left for Delhi along with his wives, children and some servants. He took whatever money he could manage. Aurangzeb met Murad and congratulated him on the victory. They both reached Agra on 1st June. All the nobles from the court started to join the victorious brothers. Shah Jahan sent a message to Aurangzeb to come and see him. But his advisors advised him otherwise. They told him that Shah Jahan had devised a plan to murder him during the meeting. Therefore, Aurangzeb declined his father's invitation. And much to Shah Jahan's surprise, he laid siege to Agra fort. He captured the water gate of Agra fort, which used to carry water into the fort from Yamuna River. Agra fort barely managed 3 days without water. Shah Jahan wrote a personal letter to Aurangzeb and requested, Please do not kill your father by torturing him without water." To which, Aurangzeb coldly replied, "You asked for it." The gates of Agra fort was then opened, and Aurangzeb arrested his father. Aurangzeb left Agra, and marched towards Delhi to capture Dara Shikoh. On his way to Delhi, he arrested Murad and sent him to the prison in Gwalior. After 3 years, on 4th of December 1661, Murad was beheaded. Dara fled Delhi on hearing the news of approaching army of Aurangzeb. Aurangzeb reached Delhi on 6th July and spent the next 3 weeks making changes according to the new order. Finally, on 21st July, after defeating his brothers and arresting his father, he ascended the throne and assumed the title of Alamgir Ghazi. But it was not over just yet. Dara was now being chased more fiercely than ever.